Oscar Lopez Rivera has done his time. He must be given a chance to enjoy his remaining years in freedom. And if President Obama does not do that, as I hope he will, as President of the United States, I will pardon Oscar Lopez.
Folks, it was hard to understand, but what Bernie Sanders, devout Marxist in my view, was saying is that he would pardon Oscar Lopez. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you who Oscar Lopez is. Let's go to Joseph Connor, anti-terrorism activist. His father was killed by the FALN in 1975. He's also the co-author of The New Founders, What Would George Washington Think of the United States of America if he were alive today? And just wrote a piece based on what Sanders said for townhall.com. I faced this terrorist and kept him in prison. He's no political prisoner. Joseph, great to see you again, sir.
Anytime, Steve.
For those who have seen you before but don't remember the story, talk about your connection to Oscar Lopez,
sure,
the man that Bernie Sanders wants to pardon.
The FALN killed my father. They murdered my father at Francis Tavern. They were sentenced to long prison terms, including Oscar Lopez. In 1999, Lopez was offered clemency by the Clintons and Eric Holder, the Deputy Attorney General at the time, and Lopez turned it down. He was so committed to his cause.
He wouldn't renounce terrorism.
He wouldn't renounce terrorism, and turns out one of the other terrorists, Carlos Torres, wasn't offered clemency, so Lopez, like the captain, was going down with the ship.
Right.
So this is a terrorist who has never repented, who has turned down clemency. Me and a small group of people were at his parole hearing in Terre Haute prison in 2011. We waited. We wanted him to acknowledge. We wanted him to be contrite. We wanted to hear something where we could tell the parole examiner, let the old man go. But there was nothing. He lied. He obfuscated. He denied any sort of issues that he was involved with anything. And when we were leaving, some of the guards said, "You guys did great. He's a piece of what," and he is.
So when you hear Bernie Sanders say that he's done his time, he has the right to live out the rest of his life in freedom, and he will pardon him if Obama doesn't first, and I don't put that past Obama.
I don't either. I think Obama will.
Really? Well, yeah. So I mean, how is this possible?
It's disgusting. First of all, pardon. If he even knows what pardon means that he gets absolved from all wrongdoing. Yeah. Clemency is what he was offered before, so I don't know if Sanders even knows what he's talking about to begin with. Secondly, he must agree with Lopez on some level. Lopez was a Marxist, and he talked about freeing Puerto Rico, but he never intended to free Puerto Rican people. He wanted to create another Cuban state where he was going to enslave them under Marxism.
Right.
So now you have a presidential candidate. You have two presidential candidates. One, Hillary Clinton, who supported the clemency originally in 1999. And now you have the other presidential candidate from the Democrat side wanting to let him out. And there's never any talk about the people he was responsible for killing, about the families, nothing. He deserves to live out his rest of his life. What about my father?
Talk about briefly his role in that bombing and with the FALN.
He was the leader of the FALN. He was one of the leaders. He was a recruiter. He taught them how to build bombs. He was sentenced to seditious conspiracy, to weapons possession. In prison, he tried to escape twice, once with a helicopter. He is a devout terrorist.
And I'm sure if he gets out, he'll get Section 8 housing to move into a home near you and me.
Yeah, and we won't be able to stop him, Steve. Right next door. That's what this country's become. That's the next step, yeah.
All right, folks, if you want to weigh in and say hello to Joseph, and I mean, imagine. Your dad was killed by the FALN when you were a little boy, 7 years old?
I was 9 years old.
9 years old.
And it's Deborah Burlingame, a good friend of mine.
Whose brother, Chick, was the pilot on American Airlines Flight 77 that crashed into the Pentagon on 9/11.
She pointed out to me the other day, she and I are friends, and she's like, how does your family go through this? At least Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and the other terrorists, no one's trying to release them, no one's talking about how great a people they are. But we have to go through this all the time, Steve. It never ends.
Sick.
It's exhausting.
All right, 877 Newsmax, 877-639-7629. First, we go to Aurora, Colorado, and say hello to Rick. Hello, Rick.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Mr. Carter. My heart goes out to you. These Democrats have no shame.
I couldn't agree more, Rick. It's they're sworn to releasing terrorists. I was at Guantanamo Bay earlier this year. My father's godson was murdered on 9/11 too, so we got it twice. And we're looking at a president now who just is clearing out Gitmo, which to me is an amazing place where we are trying to give justice to people who really don't deserve it, but we're doing the best we can as a country with great people. Yet we have the Democrats looking to release terrorists. I mean, that is what they're sworn to do.
Right.
It seems like killing babies and releasing terrorists are the two things that unify them.
And Rick, I'll let you continue, Rick, but when as Joseph correctly points out, when Obama releases these terrorists, these bomb makers, these leaders from Gitmo, you don't even hear about it in the media anymore. It's just silence, silence.
And what happens when we catch terrorists on the battlefield now? Where do we put them?
Well, we don't even catch them anymore. We kill them.
We kill them,
Yeah.
and then we get no
intelligence.
There's no intelligence,
Yeah.
and there's also no due process.
It's
either.
evil. It's evil, Rick and Joseph, to stick a terrorist's head underwater, but it's okay
Right.
to blow them up in
up.
their car while
Right.
they're driving. Go ahead, Rick. What else do you want to say?
One final point that I think is very crucial. Remember, one of Obama's advisors is Bill Ayers. What is Bill Ayers?
That's a very, very, very good point. And of course, Bill Ayers, some would call a terrorist of his own in his own
Absolutely.
right. Back in his radical days with the Weather Underground. Let's go to Frank from Queens here in New York. Hello, Frank.
Yes.
Yes,
Frank.
sir.
Hi, Steve.
Yes, sir. You're on. Go ahead.
Okay. Listen, Steve, I like to just compare Donald Trump with Michael Bloomberg. What Michael Bloomberg did for the city financially when we were having problems, I have a feeling that Trump is going to do the same thing for the country. What do you think?
Well, Bloomberg did a lot of good things for New York. I'm not sure how directly his policies influence the finances of New York City. But let me ask Joseph. First of all, where do you stand on Donald Trump? And we've heard the Muslim plan. Then he backtracked a little from the Muslim plan. So where do you stand on Donald Trump?
Well, I was supporting Ted Cruz throughout. But when you're comparing Donald Trump to Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, there is no doubt Trump is the absolute right person to choose. What I want to hear from Trump is I think we already have a president who believes he's a dictator and that the Constitution doesn't apply to him.
Right.
And I don't want one from the left or the right, to be honest with you. I want a constitutionalist. And I'd love to hear Trump discuss that. I'd like to hear him talk about the separation of powers,
constitutional limitations
and let
yeah.
him understand that.
Yeah.
But I think if he can do that, and if he can appoint the right Supreme Court justices and get the right people in the Department of Justice, and keep our spending under control, he can do a good job.
And, Frank, there's a primary in Washington State tonight. And, of course, it's kind of an assumed fact that Donald Trump will collect those 40-plus delegates tonight as he moves closer to 1, 2, 3, 7. I want to remind everybody those polls close, I believe, at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's the only primary, and it's only on the Republican side. Thank you very much, Frank. I appreciate it. Joseph, it's always a pleasure and an honor to know you and to see you. And thanks for coming in and hanging around.
Anytime.
And keep up the fight. Anything we could do to keep this scum in jail.
Well,
we'll
I have a website, wewinamerica.com.
WeWinAmerica.com.
And there's letters on there that we drafted to the president to preemptively keep him in.
Good,
Sorry.
Good. All right, guys, give the website again.
WeWinAmerica.com.
WeWinAmerica.com. Folks, thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing. Up next, J.D. Hayworth with Newsmax Prime. President Barack Obama continues to unilaterally change constitutional protections, even as the 2016 election approaches. All of this was predicted by Dick Morris in his #1 bestseller, Power Grab, Obama's Plan for a One-Party Nation. Power Grab reveals how Obama is using executive orders on guns, immigration, and programs like Obamacare to influence the upcoming presidential elections to secure a Democratic victory come November. In Power Grab, Dick Morris says Obama has a secret plan to make America a one-party nation. Power Grab exposes Obama's agenda. With the 2016 election almost here, be sure to get your copy of Dick Morris's bestseller, Power Grab. It's available at bookstores everywhere. Or get your free offer for Power Grab by calling our toll-free number, 800-953-1812. Or go online to powergrab411.com and get your copy of Power Grab with this free offer and save $25.